Oh, I gotta get a picture of that.
This is our rally, our latest rally, the global Frackdown.
Where did you find her?
have it. I built her.
I work with Citizen Action of New York. I've been at this for about 3 years now. I'm here because I love the area. This is my home. I'm happy and proud to call it my home. And you're going to hear from some fantastic folks. We've got some street theater. We've got some music. So I'm going to start by introducing Chris Berger. He's the chair of the Gas Drilling Task Force for Sierra Club for New York State. So here's Chris Berger.
Thanks, Isaac. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. Well, Governor Como, either by accident or by design, has found an interesting place to hold off this issue. The health department, you know, when you want to delay things, put it in a bureaucracy. So there it is. Unfortunately, that kind of leaves a dark cloud over our area because we're, as you know, the sacrifice zone, and probably holding it off like this just keeps that cloud over our community, and we want that cloud to go away, right? Yeah. We're already experiencing a lot of the gas drilling effects via the infrastructure. As probably most of you know, this area is starting to receive gas, the drillings from Pennsylvania. Our very own landfill here in Broome County is on a list of to take drillings in the future. We're already taking care of some of their waste water. So in effect, New York is already experiencing the negative effects of gas drilling. In addition, again, continuing with the infrastructure, we have some other speakers that are going to talk about alternatives, but I was assigned the infrastructure. The infrastructure, of course, is where the battle is nowadays here in New York. As most of you know, the industry is continuing to construct pipelines, booster stations, and all this is affecting us now. So even though we have a technical moratorium, New York State is still feeling the negative effects of gas drilling. So that's where the fight is now. So I hope you're geared up for that fight. Hopefully you all know that, you know, talk about the definition of insanity. They are now proposing to build a gas infrastructure for fleets. The DEC is gearing up for regs. We've had a technical ban on liquefied natural gas facilities for about 40 years. But that is, if the people in Albany have their way, that is destined to be eliminated pretty quickly. They're already into the regulatory process, taking comments. So I encourage you, if you have nothing else to do, that's where the fight is today, here and now. We need to fight this infrastructure build-out, because if we are ever to get to a cleaner, greener, independent energy future, we need to stop investing in fossil fuels. So I encourage you to, thank you. So we probably have a website. I know Sandra Steingreber has a website going on with where you can just plug in for comments. So please, I encourage everybody to make their comments on those regs. Tell the DEC we do not want a further investment of money and energy and resources into building out a dead-end fuel, fossil fuels. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Berger. And so Chris brings up a really good point. This is a matter of infrastructure slowly sneaking in our back door. These are high-pressure transmission lines that are set to get the gas abroad as quickly as possible, where it is selling for 5 times as much than here in the U.S. It's selling for $15 $15 per 1,000 cubic feet in India and China, and it's selling for under $3 here in the States.
Right, so America can make some money.
So, so, all right, so next I'm going to introduce the mayor of the city of Binghamton, Matt Ryan, who's been standing with us consistently for many years. We're really lucky to have him with us. We're really appreciative of that. So please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you for coming out on this beautiful day. You know, there's also many of our friends here from over the border in Pennsylvania. And I don't know how many of you know, but before I was mayor, I was a lawyer, and I taught environmental law for 10 years at Binghamton University, and my undergraduate degree was environmental sciences. And Dick Andrus was one of my professors, always give me a hard time. But anyway, so I know a little bit about how companies make promises. Environmental law is all fraught with companies who promise things to people and then at the end of the day deny that they ever caused any trouble. And they have the deep pockets. We see how much money they spend on the media to try to convince you that this is a clean, safe fuel. If it was indeed clean and safe, they wouldn't have to spend billions of dollars to or hundreds of millions of dollars to advertise every 10 seconds on TV. So, you know, then you get involved with the people down in Pennsylvania who have no water.
Tell us how the people that didn't kick you out, not the gas company.
Yeah, how come they heckled you
And
out at the
by
meeting?
the way, the people in Dimmock, here's the true facts. I just want to tell you quickly, I don't know how many people you know, but they all wanted to buy into the gas industry. Many of them had sold leases on the people on Carter Road, sold leases to the gas company. They wanted to profit from the gas company. Within a short period of time of them drilling 3 vertical wells, they haven't even fracked yet, their water was polluted, and all the neighbors started to talk to each other, and they went to the DEP in Pennsylvania. And what they said was, immediately Cabot came and said, looked at their water, tested it. Within 1 day, they said, do not drink this water, do not bathe in this water, we're going to bring you water buffaloes. And they did. And now I think most of you know the history that they had to live off of water buffaloes for so long. Then there was a change in administrations, and all of a sudden, there's nothing wrong with the water. No, so then there was nothing wrong with the water. Basically, what proves the point is, at the end of the day, many of the people couldn't live like that anymore and sold out. One of them are good friends, the Sautners. They paid $158,000 for the Sautners property. If there is nothing wrong with that property, and they have all those gas workers down there and gas executives and all those people, what would your common sense tell you would be happening with that property right now? Would somebody be living in it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would somebody be drinking the water if the water was okay?
Right.
I think so.
Do you know what is at that property now? There's nothing. They leveled the house. They spent $158,000, leveled the house, sealed the wells, and they're doing the same. They then brought in the drillers, which aren't even supposed to be drilling across from Ray Kimball's property. They sent out emails saying how bad we're going to have to cap this well. We're never going to be able to produce. They sent it out to all the neighbors. The people from Dimmock Proud, the woman stood up 2 weeks ago, and she said, we're not getting our royalty checks the way we're supposed to. We're not getting the money we were promised. Let us drill more. That's how stupid they are down there. I hate to say it. But the reality is, a few people are going to make a lot of money off of this. And by the way, T-Bone Pickens knows what the deal is. This whole industry in the Northeast and all throughout the United States is being floated on junk bonds right now, because they just have to keep the cash flowing for all their investors and to pay off all the money they owe. Chesapeake's out of the game now. All these companies are folding because they are losing money. And so the brilliant man in the crowd who said gas is so cheap, let's use it, that destroys, first of all, that means all this gas that is reserved is going to go so quick. Even if we did drill it here, it's going to be gone, or it'll be overseas. And all the myths about what gas is really going to creating a cleaner future for the United States and independence is just going to go out the window because it's all going to go overseas anyway. So anyway, well, let's talk about that. We have brilliant people, and we have to mobilize those people. We have guys like Elon Musk, who's had a Tesla motor company, Solar X, and SpaceX. Brilliant man. He is now building. They're going to have $35,000 and $50,000 models of electric cars, and they're starting to move from the West Coast to the East Coast. He's building solar fueling stations. If you buy a Tesla motor car, you will be able to fuel at any one of those stations for free. He's building the stations big enough. He's building the stations big enough, so he's such a brilliant man that the stations will be big enough to give away all that power to free for the people who buy a car and sell the solar power back to the grid, so he'll at least break even on all those solar stations. He's moving from the West Coast, where a lot of progressive things start, to the East Coast, so it's coming our way. So there's so many things. First of all the great jobs of the future are involved in. If we ever had a Manhattan-style project to say, that built the nuclear bomb, to say we're going to become energy independent, which is what Germany's doing, what a lot of European countries doing, Japan's doing. They're all scrapping their nukes, and they're said by 2050 they're going to have a totally clean energy economy. But in our country, what happens if, go look at the DVD called Priceless. Priceless is with $2 signs at the end. If you watch that DVD, you'll understand how completely bought and sold our Congress is by the oil and gas and petrochemical industry. And that's the big problem. So finally, I think I'm getting a but anyway, and the other thing is, the reason I was back in the environmental movement right when it started back in the late 60s, when Rachel Carson and everything, the Silent Spring, and it made us aware of what we were doing to our country. Basically, what we've done with our pollution, we are one of the cleanest industrial countries, not clean enough, but cleanest industrial countries in the world. You go to China right now, where they can't even breathe over there. People can't even go outside. It's so clear that we need to go in the right direction here. If you don't believe that there's climate change, if you don't believe that, then, we know that it's true. We know it's coming here. I grew up here where we used to have 4 feet of snow on the ground all winter long. Now what do we have? It's moving. People have said that within not that long a period of time, our climate's going to be like Georgia. So we need to make sure that we know, if you follow the news, you follow what's going on in the Arctic and all the ice melts, there's so many things that we should be concerned about, and it points only in one direction. The beautiful sun, which is where the sun is, when the sun goes out, we're all gone. But until that time, it can be the power that powers the whole world if we use our brains correctly. We use one small spectrum of solar energy right now. Once they open up more spectrums, and the reality is, as gas prices go up, which the industry can't exist in the United States unless they do, and when they go up, then solar and wind are more competitive than gas. So why would you ever go down that road and, like Chris says, make investments in that lost fossil fuel technology from the past? What we should be doing is fighting against this industry and make sure we take the bigger message to our national and state governments that if we want to be the progressive capital of the country like Cuomo wants, then he should be putting together the most progressive energy policy in the country, and then we can take it nationwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt Ryan. All right, so Matt touched on the issue of money in politics, and I'm happy to invite someone else up who has done a bit of research on that. Her name is Alexandra Harris. I call her Alex, and she's going to talk about money in politics. And But before Alex speaks, just real quick, part of the issue here is that this is a matter of the most powerful entities in the world targeting our community. This is a matter of ExxonMobil targeting our community for resource extraction. These are multinational interests, and we are pawns in their game, and we are not going to allow this to happen in our home. Who is with me? Thank you. So I'm going to respectfully ask that the folks who are interrupting our speakers to stop. We have, we reserved the space. We went through the process. I'm going to ask for, we're here to respectfully.
Hold your own event.
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Yes, you're doing fine. Let him.
Not one well. 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 Not one well.
All right, and so I'm going to introduce, here is Alex Harris, who's going to say a few words about money and politics.
Hello, everyone. While we're here today, fighting fracking from coming to New York, we must ask ourselves why this fight is so difficult and why gas companies have so much power and influence. The answer is money. From 2007 to 2011, the gas industry made 2,349 campaigns.
Alex, speaking of that.
Vic Fireman doing the siren sound.
All right, these folks are existing here to agitate. Don't give them the time of day. We're going to move ahead with our program here. I think you should start.
Let's talk real loud. We couldn't hear you. All right, let me start over here. So while we're here today fighting fracking from coming to New York, we must ask ourselves, why is this fight so difficult? And why gas companies have so much power and influence? The answer is money. From 2007 to 2011, the gas industry made 2,349 campaign contributions to state and local politicians and parties in New York State. These contributions total up to over $1.34 million in natural gas industry contributions. The gas industry has bought out our political representatives through campaign donations that render politicians beholden to their contributors and not their constituents. There is a response to the systemic fight, and that is the fight for a public system of financing elections that allows every citizen to have a voice in the decisions that affect us all. With the option to publicly fund your campaign, candidates can get signed support from their potential constituents, as well as a small number of donations to run for office. This system would help root out the culture of corruption that pervades our government and force our politicians to be beholden to the people rather than special interests and corporations. Fair election systems have worked in other states such as Maine, Connecticut, and Arizona. Last year, we came within inches of passing fair elections here in New York State. It is time that we come together to fight the toxic effects of big money on our political system so that we can have a real chance at beating toxic industry. Thank you, everyone.
All right. And so I'm proud to introduce now Vera Scroggins, one of very few people who has been vocal in the shale fields of Pennsylvania. She's a really phenomenal advocate. This woman is an absolute superstar, so really let's give her a warm welcome. Vera Scroggins.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming, showing your support for clean energy. and for not polluting the planet. We have to stop polluting the planet. We have to stop corporations from just taking over and doing whatever they want. Since I was a little girl, that's what I've seen, and it's now 60-some years later. They're still doing the same type of work, polluting and then leaving a mess behind, and then we have to try and clean it up. And I haven't seen any area get thoroughly cleaned up. We have now 800 wells almost in our county of Susquehanna, and this is in 5 years. We have dozens of compressor stations. We have miles and miles of all kinds of high pressure pipelines. This is surrounding us. This is in our agricultural lands. This is where our food is processed. Our milk is processed. And we are being exposed to the health impacts. 40 counties in our state are being drilled right now. And our governor is completely pro-gas, so they're not stopping it. They're not willing to stop it. And I want to ask everyone that there's got to be a meeting ground between those who want it and those who don't. And we need to see if we can meet together on the same ground somehow and be able to maybe work towards renewables so that we can show and see that we need renewables completely at some point. We have to stop polluting the planet. We have to stop hurting Mother Earth. We have to honor the Mother. This is our planet that has sustained us for thousands of years, and now industrialization has been here for 100 or so years. And we need to see that we cannot continue to do this. We have to totally work together and see if we can go to renewables and be able to understand that climate change is real, it's happening, and we don't want to keep hurting everyone in order so that corporations can make a profit. They want to make a profit off of us, off of our backs. They don't care if they hurt us at this point. They need to make a profit. This is their main goal. So money is not the issue here. We have to, water is precious, air is precious, our lives are precious, and we have to consider 7 generations ahead of us, like the Native Americans say. Slow down for 7 generations. And I honor the Mother, I honor the earth, and I give her love, and we need to stick together, all of us, no matter what our position is. Thank you.
All right, and so next we're going to have some street theater. Is this a gas rig over on by the Peacemaker stage here? They're coming. Let's give it a round of applause for these guys. So that drill rig is the coolest piece of equipment I've seen. Thank you very much to the folks who helped make that thing happen. That was no small task. So I'm now going to introduce Aubrey Clark, who's going to chat a little bit about the on-the-ground organizing. We're going to hear a little bit of music, and then we'll keep going with a couple speakers. So Aubrey Clark, where are you? Right there. Aubrey Clark has been doing a ton of phenomenal on-the-ground organizing. She's been an amazing spokesperson, so I'm going to hand the mic to her.
This is just a quick talk, a supplemental talk from the grassroots. I'm a member of Vestal Residents for Safe Energy and Save the Southern Tier. Not hearing?
Yes,
better? Okay, sorry. Anyway, we've been going door to door in Vestal and elsewhere actually for I'd say several years, 3 years maybe. Some of us have worked longer than that, but we wanted really to have a conversation that wasn't taking place publicly because there was so much misinformation, and I believe fully that the gas industry's millions has controlled that conversation. And when we were going door to door, we found out that people either didn't understand what was happening, had no opinion. It was just such a mystery on one level of why people weren't more interested. That is changing. That has come a long way. There are many more people now who do have an awareness of risks and real dangers, and they are now very concerned, and I love to see this growing movement. I just want to add that Governor Cuomo has recently stated that there is misinformation on both sides. That's a pretty safe political statement, and yet it was annoying, because we have worked very, very hard to get underneath the situation and get some real information. That is not true for the moneyed interests, where they take the surface of the information they're receiving, and money is speaking all the way through. We're not about money. The only money we've had is out-of-pocket donations. So money is not our primary interest, even though we recognize the threat to our property and our way of life. Anyway, thank you all for being here, and thank you for your support and the honoring our progress.
All right. So, where is Doug Vitarius at? Doug is right there. Doug, have you handed out your song? Okay, Doug, what I'm going to have you do is hand out your song. We're going to sing a little bit, but first we're going to have a speaker come up so you got time to do that, okay? So I'm going to introduce Matt Lemke. He's the Southern Tier organizer with NYPIRG. Matt's been doing a lot of really good work, and we're happy to have him with us. So here's Matt.
Good afternoon, Binghamton. It's great to see you all out here on this lovely autumn day. Like Isaac said, my name is Matt Lemke, and I'm the Southern Tier organizer with NYPIRG, the New York Public Interest Research Group. And we're fighting against fracking here, and I've been working with countless students over at Binghamton University to help ban fracking here in New York. So on this worldwide day of action, I am truly inspired by the Binghamton University students and the local community standing together here at the Peacemaker stage to fight for a shared vision of a sustainable and frack-free New York. Now this is very much a global movement. Today, all across the world, people are making their voices heard. And right here, in our very own state of New York, we have the most events of any place on this entire planet. So, that is awesome. And not only does this speak to the passions of the people right here, but it also speaks to how well organized this entire movement has been. You know, together we have stood tall in the face of industry pressure, and despite being outspent 30-1, we have kept fracking out of New York State for the last 5 years. The gas industry industry is faltering here in New York. We are forcing them to give up on their leases, and some of them we are forcing out of business altogether. Now make no mistake, these multinational corporations are relentless, but guess what? So are we. So I have a message for Chesapeake, for Cabot, for Range Resources, for WPX, and for Halliburton. We are not going to stand idly by and allow for a wide-scale industrialization and devastation of the land we love. We are not going to allow our air quality to be diminished, our water to be poisoned, our people made sick, and the lives of those we love put at risk by dangerous LNG infrastructure. It's not going to happen. New York is not for sale. So Governor Cuomo wants to open up the southern tier as a sacrifice zone, as a case for fracking in New York. So Governor Cuomo, I have a message for you as well. The people of the southern tier are not guinea pigs. And from Lake George to Lake Erie, from the banks of the St. Lawrence to the tip of Long Island, no New Yorker is a guinea pig. Not one. Not a single soul. So someday, when the hands of time have turned me old and tired, I will reflect on days like today and know that ordinary people came together with one voice, took on the largest, most powerful industry in the world. And I have all the faith in the world that if we stick together and if we continue to stand tall in the face of this industry pressure, and if we refuse to back down, we will win this fight and keep New York the way it was made to be, frack-free.
Matt Lemke. Very good. So part of where we are historically, this is the first time we watched the polls significantly in our favor. We are doing our own research. New Yorkers, Americans, people around the world are realizing this is a bad idea. The most recent poll across the U.S., 49% opposed to fracking, 44% in favor. Here in New York, the upstate polls, 52% opposed, 34% in favor. We are growing, we are becoming more stronger, and together by standing shoulder to shoulder, we are going to win. We will win here in New York. So I'm going to introduce Doug Vitarius and David Elder. Doug has had some brushes with fame lately, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that, and hopefully everyone's got the half sheet that he's handed out. And David Elder is a musician. He's been here in Vestal fighting this for years also, so here you are.
We need a few volunteers to help hold up some signs. If anyone would come forward to hold these.
Louder!
Okay. If a few people could come up to hold up a few signs, appreciate it.
All right, so we're just arranging ourselves here for a minute. David needs two more volunteers now. Come up and help David. Hold the sign for a minute. Come on, you got it. And I'll take this moment actually to pitch. This is the time to get involved. We have, with some elections coming up, we're going to be working on behalf of candidates who are opposed to fracking. If you're interested in getting involved with that now is the time to do so. Come and talk to me. We're running phone banks. This is the time, and it really is a critical time because some of these local elections are going to make a really big difference. So
Okay, after attending a number of rallies with powerful chants and passionate speeches against fracking.
Louder! Louder!
Right in it? Okay. After attending a number of rallies with powerful chants and passionate speeches against fracking, I was inspired to create an anthem for a growing movement. The anthem is called, you can start over here, New York was meant to be frack-free. Recently, Pete Seeger became aware of the lyrics and decided to use this line from the song during a guest appearance at the Farm Aid concert in Saratoga in September. And this past June, Natalie Merchant sang a few verses at the Crossroads rally in Albany. Dave Elder has kindly agreed to accompany us. The melody is from This Land Is Your Land. And if I could have a few singers volunteer to come up and help lead us in song. So I'm not particularly a singer. Anyone would come forth? All right, let's join together in singing the anthem in a show of solidarity against fracking, toward renewable energy, and as a celebration of our great state of New York. Let's reverberate off the buildings of Binghamton, across the river, and throughout the city. We'll sing the refrain first, and then repeat it after each verse. And New York is my land, from the southern tier to the Catskill Mountains, from the Susquehanna to the Hudson Valley. New York was meant to be frack-free. New York is your state. New York is my state. Our lakes and mountains are really first rate. From Finger Lakes wine to dairy farming, New York was meant to be frack-free. New York is your land. New York is my land. From the southern tier to the Catskill Mountains, from the Susquehanna to the Hudson Valley, New York was meant to be frack-free. As the smart New Yorkers, let's lead the nation, cut greenhouse gases, more conservation, with geothermal, wind, solar power. New York was meant to be frack-free. New York is your land. New York is my land. From the southern tier to the Catskill Mountains, from the Susquehanna to the Hudson Valley, New York was meant to be frack-free. In 10 counties across the nation, networks of pipelines, compressor stations, thousands of well pads scarring the landscape. New York will fight to be frack-free. New York is your land. New York is my land. From the southern tier to the Catskill Mountains, from the Susquehanna to the Hudson Valley, New York was meant to be frack-free. Right legislators, call on your cell phone, tell town board members this land is our home. Tilt it on Facebook, tweet it on Twitter. New York was meant to be frack-free. This land is your land. New York is my land. From the southern tier to the Catskill Mountains, from the Susquehanna to the Hudson Valley. to be frack free.
I'm going to tell everyone a secret, and that's that Doug Vitarius is more savvy with social media than I am, and he's a couple years older. So David's going to do one of his songs, and then we'll get rolling. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna do one of my own songs. This is on my YouTube channel, and if you just look up the title, you can probably find it. It's called All Fracked Up. And this is one of those like audience participation songs, so it's fairly simple. I go, all fracked up. You don't have to sing it, you can yell it if you want. That's probably good. You don't miss your water until your well gets all fracked up. You can't wash your clothes, you can't wash yourself when you're all fracked up. Situation bad, all fracked up. You keep getting the gas, you're all fracked up. You wanna get out, makes you wanna shout. What can you do now that you're all fracked up? All fracked up. All fracked up, and how? Your bathroom smelling like a chemical plant when you're all fracked up. It gives you a headache just sitting on the can when you're all fracked up. Situation bad, all fracked up. You keep getting the gas, you're all fracked up. You wanna get out, makes you want to shout, but what can you do now that you're all fracked up? All fracked up, all fracked up, and how? All fracked up. 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 And how? Your house in the country isn't worth too much when you're all fracked up. People from the gas company say you're simply out of luck. You're all fracked up. Situation bad, all fracked up. You keep getting the gas, you're all fracked up. You wanna get out, makes you wanna shout, but what can you do now that you're all fracked up? All fracked up, all fracked up, and how? You're all fracked up, all fracked up, all fracked up, and how? All fracked up, all fracked up, all fracked up, and how?
David Elder, everybody. Thank you, David.
Thank you. As I said, that's on my YouTube channel, daveelder.com. And also there's a rumor, anybody who lives in Vestal might be voting in the election on November 5th. There's a rumor that you might be able to write my name in for the town board. I won't comment on that rumor right now, but check it out on Facebook.
There's a rumor. All right, and next I'm going to introduce Stacy Smith, who traveled down here from Syracuse, hit a little bit of traffic, and I'm sure the construction is a mess right now too. So she's going to say a couple of words about a campaign that she's running.
Hi everyone. I actually live in. Can you hear me? Because it's been in Tully. I'm sorry, I have a horrible cold. Tully Valley, which is north of here, and is an incredibly beautiful place, and all the wild open rural farmland. Much of it has been leased, and now they're proposing a liquefied natural gas Millennium Pipeline expansion literally about 100 feet from my house. So like many of you, I take this incredibly personally. But my friend and I wanted to come down because this Binghamton is so statewide and globally critical. What I want to talk to you about is we have started in New York State the Go Fossil Free New York State campaign. So while we are trying at the local municipal level with town bans and moratoriums, and while we're trying at the state level to get a ban, and that's all political work, which is long and hard, there is an economic thing that we can do immediately. So in New York State, there's a New York City pension fund, and then the whole rest of New York State has what's called the Common Retirement Fund. It currently is $164 billion. $164 billion in this Common Retirement Fund, our tax dollars, and much of it is invested globally and statewide in fossil fuels. So we have started this campaign as part of the larger Go Fossil Free global divestment movement, and we need to do what Isaac was saying. We need to get this out. We are scheduling a series of meetings. The New York State Comptroller, his name is Thomas DiNapoli. He's the sole trustee. So unlike fighting through DEC, legislature, etc., one person has the final say on whether to invest this money in fossil fuels or divest the money and reinvest it. The more we reinvest, the more we get the economy moving. As you all know, the state 10-year solar bill did not pass. It got politically caught. We need to work economically. Please, if you have a smartphone, take out your smartphone. Go Google New York State Go Fossil Free campaign, sign the petition. You can only sign it online. Isaac will have the information and hopefully can send it out, but Google New York State Go Fossil Free, sign the petition today, please, so that when we look at it tomorrow, it jumped. Spread it all around Binghamton University along with your own divestment campaign. Twitter it, Facebook it, get it out, because Comptroller DiNapoli says he has not heard from New Yorkers. Call the New York State Comptroller's office. Make him hear that we need to divest now. Please don't think these are separate issues. These are the same exact issue. We have got to divest our tax dollars because we can get a ban and still be investing. Thank you.
Good idea. All right. Thank you, Stacy. So we've got a couple more folks who are going to speak. We're going to end with a pledge to resist fracking. And then we're going to call it a day and hopefully beat out the rain. So I'm going to introduce Ed Nizlowski next. Ed's been a phenomenal advocate, a great writer, and here he is.
Yes, I asked Isaac if he could squeeze me in, so he gave me 1 minute. I want to mention a program, October 30th up at Cornell. A friend of mine, Jerry Acton, who has studied just the economics of gas drilling. He says they don't measure up based on his research looking at Pennsylvania, so I want to mention that. Also, mid-December, I had a guest viewpoint in the Press and Sun Bulletin, 20 questions regarding fracking. I made a copy of that. I sent it to a variety of state officials, Cuomo, Martins, Dr. Shaw, my assemblyman, Senator Libous, our two state senator, or U.S. senators, along with, I sent a copy to the EPA, Department of Energy, and Obama himself. And then in this copy, I said each one of these questions, there are 20 of them, needs further elaboration and development. So I sent a series of 20 letters to all those people. Got a variety of responses back from the federal government, not too much from the state, but my responses are on the website for RAFT, Residents Against Fracking Tioga. Go to the link that says Ed's 2 cents. And you can find out, how I developed, made an effort to, examine this particular issue. The other thing is I want to mention 3 books. I'm a former librarian, Under the Surface by Tom Wilbur, and a copy of that's gone to Libous, Chris Friend, Obama himself, along with Tom Reed. Fracking Pennsylvania, Flirting with Disaster, Walter Brash, another excellent book. And if you want to read something that's, a little bit more on the pro side, End of Country, Seamus McGraw. Now, he has a gas well. He speaks in favor of gas drilling, but I think he does a great job of explaining what's happened to the country in Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. And so, Scott Lawfer, where are you? So we've heard a little bit about the renewable side of things. Scott's going to speak with a little bit of detail. And yeah, Scott Lawfer, he's the regional chair of the Susquehanna Group of the Sierra Club. You got it right.
You pretty much got it right, Isaac. We don't have a lot of sun today, but a lot of times we have sun in this area, right? So we need a solar future right here in Broome County, and we think we can do it. We need renewable energy. I see some renewable energy signs out there. There is an effort. There's several efforts to make this happen. If you want to participate, I've got some of these forms, and Larry Miller, the guy there holding them up, he's got a bunch more. And we should be seeing solar panels on the roofs around here. We should be seeing wind turbines on the farms. And because our government at all levels is not taking enough action, we can do some things on our own. We can become producers ourselves. We don't have to wait for a government that's too slow in this regard. So, put solar panels up. Put up wind turbines. And advocate to your legislators. We need more. We can do better in New York. We've got some plans, but we can do better. Let's get off of fossil fuels. Let's go with the sun. Thanks.
Scott Lawfer. So we've got one more person who's going to share something special with us. His name is Lee McCaslin. I want to take this moment. So Lee's going to speak. We're going to do the pledge to resist fracking. We're going to beat out the rain. And I just want to take this moment right now to thank everyone for coming out on a Saturday, no less. We're really fortunate to have had nice weather in fall. I'm not bundled up. And it's been a real pleasure. This is really good. We've shown solidarity with frontline communities that are fighting this everywhere. There is a growing movement worldwide to beat back these incredibly powerful interests that are ready, willing, and able to completely destroy our home and everything that we love here. So here's Lee.
Aloha. Everybody knows what that word means, and that comes from Hawaii. And there's some great news there. They're the first state to ban fracking completely. Oh, they're all...
Vermont did too.
Vermont too. Anyways, we need to start taking care of this Great Lakes watershed. And I mean, it's a big responsibility for the people. And if you don't know what I'm speaking about, it kind of looks like this from the sky.
Looks like that.
It's a big body of water. We all need to take care of it. Also, I'd like to give thanks for this glorious time here down here in Binghamton. As we know, Canada's on the verge of a different era as we wake up the people to the reality. In 1979, I started in that oil field at the gas and drilling. And so I spent a lot of times on that drilling floor. And I watched what this industry does up and down. So for all you deniers about what's really happening, you should get educated up on that. And that's some turbulence that actually come through here. So I'm willing to, take you through the steps and take you down hole if you want, and show you the contamination that I have created in my lifetime. But hopefully I can change that around and stop this drilling completely. To hell.
Woo! All right, now I'd actually like to call on Matt Ryan here to join us for the Pledge to Resist Fracking, if you're willing. Sure. So the history of this is about, it's almost a year old now. Dr. Sandra Steingraber wrote it. Sorry about that. You can have the other copy. This is the Pledge to Resist Fracking. We came up with this last summer when Governor Cuomo was proposing really trying to push for the idea of the sacrifice zone, pushing the idea that some New Yorkers' lives are worth more than others. And you know, we pushed back and we beat that back. And here we are a year later with no fracking, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to build. We are an incredibly powerful movement. We will fight this at every turn, and we will not give up. So in that vein, I'm going to read the pledge, and then there's a call and response. We'll do it kind of Occupy style. So, the pledge to resist fracking. I believe that hold on. I think I messed this up. I think you need your left fist up. How does Sandra do it? Help me out here. Right fist. All right. I believe that high volume, horizontal, hydraulic fracking is an accident-prone, inherently dangerous industrial process with risks. I think we messed this up, actually. I'm going to read this part because it's going to take way too long. No. There is a call and response part at the end. I don't want to keep everyone here and get rained on. I believe that high volume, horizontal, hydraulic fracking is an accident-prone, inherently dangerous industrial process with risks that include catastrophic and irremediable environmental damage. That these risks cannot be properly resolved, nor can they be mitigated through regulation by any government agency, let alone one that has colluded with the gas industry over the last 4 years in creating rules that attempt to regulate fracking. That Governor Cuomo and his agency, the Department of Environmental Conservation, have repeatedly turned a deaf ear to the petitions of New York scientists, economists, medical professionals, and ordinary citizens who have tried again and again for years and to little avail to alert the agency and Governor Cuomo to the many changes that hydraulic fracking poses to our health, safety, property values, peace of mind, and the climate itself. That it is wrong to shatter the bedrock of New York State and inject it with toxic chemicals. Thus,
What he said.
Yes.
If Governor Cuomo permits high volume, horizontal, hydraulic fracking in any part of New York State, I pledge to join with others to engage in non-violent acts of protest, including demonstrations and other non-violent actions as my conscience leads me. I make this pledge in order to prevent the destruction and poisoning of New York's air, water, and food systems, on which life, health, and economic prosperity all depend, including that of future generations. Thank you, everybody.
Just one more thing. This isn't just one day. We know how many people have been fighting so hard every day of the week, and it is making a difference. When we started, the polls in New York State were, about even, and the latest poll has it 58-42 against fracking. So all the information, in spite of how many hundreds of millions, if we continue to educate all the people and the people demand it not to be done. So thank you very much.
All right, one final thing. We're in a really critical time frame. Governor Cuomo is looking to push through liquefied natural gas terminals. So these are highly explosive, really dangerous things. They were back in 1973. They were outlawed because of the risks that they pose. Dr. Sandra Steingraber has got a website called 30 Days of Fracking Regs, 30daysoffrackingregs.org. Go. It's very easy to make comments. It's really, really critical to make comments. And just for a little bit of history, this is an exponential movement. I want anyone to venture a guess the most amount of comments on any set of environmental regulations before fracking. Venture a guess. What do I hear? 1,000. 1,000. Someone got it. Most recently, 202,000 comments a year ago. We are growing. We will beat this by standing shoulder to shoulder. If you are not involved, today is the day to start. Sign this sign-in sheet. You'll get more information. Keep up the fight, everybody. We're going to continue to stand with frontline communities. We're going to continue to fight this, and we will win here in New York. Thank you, everybody. A really sincere thank you. This was a fantastic day.
Don't you come back no more. Hit the road track, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road track, and don't you come back no more. Come back no more.
Hey guys, this guy's pretty well mellowed out, and
Excuse me, my name's Freda. I didn't catch Vera before you spoke. My name is Linda from Sullivan County. But my ear got the sound